You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live. We, of course, are broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios, brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Before we get back to our story about the judge's recent decision in Maryland, I want to just let our listeners know we've got a free gift for you. We provide a bi-monthly newsletter called What's New. A lot of the topics that we cover on this show, we cover in further detail. People that we have on the show also write for it. We have over 23,000 subscribers. It's yours for free. All you have to do is give us a call during the week at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori. She'll make sure that you start receiving it either electronically or by mail. Now, we're talking and wrapping up here the Maryland court decision. And what threw everybody for a loop was this judge in his editorializing, in his opinion at the very end, said that when it comes to disclosures of known code violations at the time of the resale of a unit in an HOA, he said that the only thing that the association is required to pass on are written charged violations. So if they know that there's a code violation because they had an engineer's report done and they know some things need to be taken care of, or if they know that someone had reported them because of an issue and it's coming, but the fact that the letter hadn't been delivered to them as of yet, they wouldn't be required to share that information. And we're talking about, is that fair? Is that right? And there's a big difference, as we talked about, between the law and ethics. And I'm really proud of here in Minnesota. I don't know if you're aware, but we've all heard of the Association of Realtors. It's a national organization. But were you aware, folks, that the Association of Realtors had its start right here in the Twin Cities, in Minneapolis? The whole idea of an Association of Realtors, the idea of setting up ethical practices in the sale of property, was all started right here. And that's something we can be proud of. One of the things that I mentioned was sort of the litmus test is one thing that realtors always bandy about with one another when they're talking about the sale of property is, what is a material fact? What is a material fact? And a material fact defined by the Association Realtors is that any issue, any information that you would pass on that would influence either party in the transaction, that's a material fact. So it's not, well, I didn't think something was a material fact. If you know that something is may not be a big issue to you, but you know that your client does, you have an obligation to report that. Even if the person isn't your client, you have an obligation to share that information. And I like that, because what we're talking about is we're getting back to the basics, the golden rule. And that idea that, whatever we're going to do, that standard is going to be however we want to be treated in return. And I think that's something that's got to be the standard when you're talking about disclosures and disclosure of information. So the whole issue that Maryland's dealing with, I'm happy to say, is really not an issue here in Minnesota. We've kind of gotten past that, and I think part of that's because of our great tradition that we've had here in disclosures, and because of the Association of Realtors forming and developing right here in our own Twin Cities, developing a different level, a different standard of professionalism and excellence that I'm proud to be a part of. And so this idea, well, if it isn't informally formally written and charged, you don't have to disclose that. That's not an issue in how we would deal with things here in Minnesota. So I hope the folks in Maryland can wrap their head around that and deal with that issue.